How women who identified as feminists contributed to the development of what is now known as the dating or pickup community. Because if it weren't for feminists, the dating community that we know today probably wouldn't exist. I want to talk about how feminism actually created the dating community, also known as the pickup community, that we know today in today's topic, because I want to talk about how feminism actually created the dating community, also known as the pickup community that we know today. We would all be at home right now with our wives living a normal life, raising our families. We would be living up to our responsibilities as men, as both husband and father, and we wouldn't be out there at random bars and random clubs like we are. If this were the case, there wouldn't be millions of frustrated guys around the world looking to the dating community for answers. Instead, we would all be at home right now. It's funny because every time I read a negative article about the pickup community, people seem to view women not as people but rather as sex objects. These days, men don't look at women as people but rather as sex objects. It is typically written by a feminist who is expressing her profound hostility for a community of men who have achieved great power as a direct result of the feminist movement that began several decades earlier. This movement began in the 1960s. I'm only surprised that it's taken this long for the dating community to become this widespread. It didn't start much earlier, like in the 1970s or 1980s. Rather, it wasn't until the late 1990s as divorce rates skyrocketed and more single mothers banged out more fatherless sons. I'm surprised that it's taken this long for the dating community to become this widespread. That a large movement of frustrated men began to develop, all looking for answers for how to date attractive women in this new Wild West environment that was in fact created by feminists themselves. These men were all looking for ways to date attractive women in this new environment that was created by feminists. Because for feminists, the pickup community and any man who turns to the pickup community for advice on dating women must be pitiful, right as if you were given a dating manual at birth for how to date women, when to be chivalrous, when not to be chivalrous, when to and when not to be overly chivalrous, when to and when not to be overly chivalrous, when to and when not to be overly chivalrous, when to and when not to be overly chivalrous, when to, because it could be construed as sexist, so magically as a man raised without a father or with a weak father who was also indoctrinated by feminism, you're magically supposed to know how to be a man and how to date women in today's society. And somehow, how to keep women, and if you dare even turn to a community of men who are just as lost and confused as you are searching for answers, according to the feminists who wrote the book on the subject. You must be a sad excuse for a human being if you do not already know these things. In a nutshell, feminists started a movement a few decades ago with the goal of giving women more power in order to destabilize families, promote single motherhood, rewrite marriage laws, and ensure that men receive no benefits. Then, many decades later, they sit around bewildered, wondering why no men want to get married anymore, why no men want to stick around anymore, and why no men want to put up with a loudmouth. If they do get married, they should even make sure they get screwed if they do get married. Woman, also known as a powerful woman, and most of all can't believe that men all over the world would dare to come together and form a community like ours to help other frustrated men solve their dating issues and finally become successful with the opposite sex. And many feminists can't help but express how creepy and how pathetic they believe it is for any guy to learn how to become successful with women. However, in all of my years as a dating coach, as a pickup instructor, as a pickup artist, and as a professional pickup artist myself, I have never encountered a single person who thought it was creepy or pathetic for any guy to learn how to become successful with women. There is nothing more creepy than a guy who does not learn how to become successful with women, because when a guy does not take the time to learn how to become successful with women and he tries to go out there in this new feminist-empowered anti-male Wild West adding environment, it is extremely difficult for him to find success with women. When you least expect it, that's when the police are called to investigate allegations of domestic violence. When this occurs, rape takes place. Men who learn how to be successful with women do not have to resort to extreme measures out of frustration in order to get women to feel okay about themselves. They are not required to engage in behaviors such as stalking, domestic violence, or rape. On the other hand, men who are unable to learn how to be successful with women are required to engage in behaviors such as stalking, domestic violence, or rape. They resort to stalking because they can't get women again, which is why it happens. This is how incidents of domestic violence occur. This is how rape takes place. It's funny because you almost never come across young women of attractive appearance who are interested in joining their movement. And any hot women who aren't doing it as a fad, such as once in a blue moon you'll see an attractive celebrity or even a model supporting feminism, but often if you dig a little bit deeper and Google, Google that chick's background, you'll start to notice a pattern, which is that many of these young, attractive women who latch onto feminism are often battling a slew of psychological demons such as depression. You'll start to notice a pattern, which is that many of these young, attractive women who latch onto feminism are often alcohol dependents, drug dependents. It's always these screwed up pea-brain actresses and peoples who latch onto the feminist movement thinking it's a good thing, and outside of the one or two people Emma teases, they're never psychologically sound because, as I've said before, feminists themselves are not psychologically sound. The feminist movement is almost entirely composed of very jaded, very unattractive, and very overweight, tired old hags who spend every waking moment of their lives in this negative lower conscious state of existence, constantly pointing fingers, constantly being angry, and constantly expressing hostility for anyone who disagrees with them. These women spend their lives in this negative lower conscious state of existence, constantly being angry and constantly expressing hostility for anyone who disagrees with them. They have absolutely nothing that men would find attractive, and yet they sit there and wonder why nobody wants to get within 100 feet of them. They have destroyed the institution of marriage, they have destroyed family values, they have destroyed the country, and in the process, they have also destroyed themselves. And I am absolutely certain that they won't be satisfied until they destroy the entire planet, and once they do that, they'll do what they've always done, which is simply blame men and blame patriarchy. And I'm fully convinced that they won't be satisfied until they do that. It's funny, because every single feminist blog that I've ever come across on the internet reminds me a lot of liberal talk shows that try to make it in radio but always end up going out of business because they can't get advertising. And the reason that they are unable to secure advertising is because they are unable to convince viewers to continue watching. One way to convince viewers to continue watching is to provide them with facts, statistics, and real-world examples. However, they are unable to do this. Providing them with evidence that what you say is accurate and that it is not merely stemming from a place of anger, hostility, or other negative emotions is an effective way to diffuse the situation. And that is generally what the majority of feminist websites and blogs are, just a whole lot of bitching, complaining, and blaming without any actual facts or statistics, much less any real-world examples or proof that their ideology is succeeding in the real world. But this is often what happens when you gather a group of psychologically unsound, mentally ill single women and form a movement. Okay. Why do you think so many women who are not mentally insane do not want to associate themselves with feminism? They never get anything done because all they do is build up a big ball of animosity, a big ball of hostility, and negative emotions, and then they throw that ball at anyone who disagrees with them. They never accomplish anything. So in order for all of the feminists and all of their followers who want to express their anger and hostility towards the dating community and the millions of men out there who continue to turn to the dating community for answers and advice, it is essential that they first gain an understanding of how the dating community came into existence in the first place. The feminist movement is a direct cause of the dating community, also known as the pickup community, which came into existence, rose to power, and gained millions of followers all over the world. This is a fundamental principle of the cause and effect relationship. If it weren't for the feminist movement, which started several decades ago, the pickup community, which is an important part of the dating community, simply would not exist today, period. You wouldn't be sitting here watching these, and I wouldn't be here to discuss these topics, because neither of us would be here. We would all be at home right now raising our families, living a normal life, and appreciating women for who they are as opposed to treating them like the sexual objects that they themselves have once again turned themselves into. Because all of this is a direct result of feminism being a cause and the pickup community being an effect, feminists shouldn't blame the pickup community, and feminists shouldn't blame men. Instead, feminists should blame themselves.